Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Over Coffee, our morning talk show on the Long Island Tabletop Streaming Network, where we talk about games or just about anything. Please go ahead and chat with us. Send us some feedback, send us some ideas. We'd love to hear from you, or just have us on while you're listen in on while you're getting ready for work. My name is Game Master Dave. And I'm here with Rich, John, and did somebody just join us? And Doug. Good morning. I said it. No, listen. Oh well. What am I gonna do? So, what have you guys been up to since we last saw? We didn't get a chance to do a show on Wednesday, just due to some technical issues. And Doug had his painting show last night, and I played Twilight 2000 role playing game, which was a lot of fun. Had a good time. What have you guys been up to?
Spending most of my time being frustrated at Verizon now.
Yes, I think Rich is going to talk about that in just a second.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Let me start off by saying I haven't had a single solitary problem in almost 3 years now.
Right.
Not a single one. Not a billing problem.
With Verizon. With
Verizon. Not a billing problem. Not a glitch. Nothing. Nothing. I've never had to talk to them. And let me tell you how thankful I am that I never had to contact customer service before, because I probably would have dropped them like a bad habit.
Yep.
Their customer service is so appalling. And so with the whole Northeast thing, we all went down. Everybody went down. I got, and then other people started coming back up, and other people weren't affected, and that's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
But as people started coming up, I was in the smaller and smaller group of people who were not fixed by whatever they did to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't wait. I opened a ticket that same day, right? Once I realized what was going on, I contacted customer service. I got them to open a ticket because I know it's going to take time. So they told me your issue will be resolved within 24 to 48 hours. I said, you guys are kidding me. I said, you realize everybody works from home now, right? Of course they don't, because you're talking to customer service who's not in New York, who's probably not even in the U.S.
Right.
And which wouldn't be a problem under normal circumstances, but every customer service agent, actually that's not true. For a string of like 3 or 4 in a row, I got that. It was a consistent response. Oh, there's issues in your area. They're working on them. Okay, I can take that, right? But I'm just checking, right? See if they get an ETA. And they all said the same thing. There is no ETA, but according to your ticket, it'll be resolved by 8 p.m. Thursday. I was like, all right, way to push it to the last minute. And, the 1 to 3 hours, could you imagine a company going down and their techs going, we'll have you up in 24 to 48 hours.
Right.
Right? I mean, seriously. So,
well, I'm gonna say this: you're not gonna get much better from your competitors in the area either. So
no, I understand that. So that's not where I'm going with this.
okay,
Because I jumped from them to this.
okay.
So we go through this whole thing, and then by the way, this is after, and I kept checking because I kept getting text messages that the issue was resolved. So I would contact them and go, the issue's not resolved. And every time I contact them, they said, don't worry, 8 p.m. tomorrow, on Thursday. So Thursday afternoon, I get an email. They say, great news, your ticket has been resolved and been closed. Oh, great. I went, I did all my reboot, my power cycles and everything. Nothing. I contact customer service again. I explain the situation. He has me join a video link so he could see what's going, so he could see my router and my my ONT or whatever they call it, right? Which is the optical box. And so I'm showing him, and he's like, all right, you see the white wire coming out of the ONT, just connect that to your computer. I was like, all right. So what I'll do is, because my PC is in a different room, and I have a hard wire from there to there, I said,
Right.
I will just take the network cable that's connected to my PC already, which is already long enough, and connect it into the ONT. He argued with me for almost 10 minutes saying it's not the same thing. And I'm trying to explain to him, I said, not only is it the same thing, but there's no other way to do it because it doesn't reach. And I was showing him. I was actually showing him the network cables. It's like I don't know. I understand network cables. I understand what I understand this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So we finally go through that, and there's no connection. And by the way, I was on the phone with this guy and text and video for close to 30 minutes.
Right.
At the end of it, he's like, "Oh well, it looks like we'll probably have to open a ticket for you." I said, "You had a ticket. You closed it." He said, "Yeah, but the response from the tech was he found nothing wrong." I was like, "Wait, no, that's not how that works. When the tech says I find nothing wrong, you contact the customer who opened the ticket to see if they're still having a problem, so you can close the ticket.
Right.
That's how a ticketing
Your
system
house
works."
isn't on. Your house isn't on fire. We showed up at the place you said, and there was nothing but an empty lot. So, smoke everywhere.
It's nothing but ruins.
Right. I mean, how is that? How is that? That's just stupidity. I mean, like, how do you not contact the customer who opened the ticket to find out before you resolve the ticket? How do we know that the tech didn't do anything? Maybe he just opened up his laptop and said, "I can't connect." All right, I didn't see anything wrong.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't have internet, so
Right, maybe he didn't have internet, so of course he couldn't see anything wrong. His monitors were just showing fine. It's unbelievable, the stupidity of the customer service dilemma. I
And
can't.
even if people make the argument, like even if people want to argue, oh well, it's only been about a year with COVID and all that stuff. It's like, well, no, it's been like 20 years. We've moved on to a digital age, and since let's say, the new millennium, and customer service has never ramped up or met the demand. If anything, it's gotten worse.
Right.
John, it comes down to the fact that that companies are like, well, we don't need to contact everyone. If one person gets angry at us, it's fine. We have 5 million other people. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that easy to start up a new internet service provider because you need to have all of the hardware or rent the hard, like basically all the lines into the houses you'd have to rent that.
They're the best game in town, Dave. They are the best game in town. Verizon has the best, actual, not customer service, but they have the best service compared to Optimum and Dish Network and all that crap.
Right.
And they know it.
Right. And that's the sad thing. But I mean, well, here's the flip side of the coin. Like I started off saying, the service and equipment and FiOS in general, I've never had a problem with, right? The couple of techs that I've met and talked with, fine. The customer service is a piece of crap. Right. I mean, it's like I work for a multi-billion-dollar company, global company as well, right? Is it as big as Verizon? I don't know. I don't know what Verizon's numbers are, but maybe not, and that's okay. But
different logistics though.
But we have there's you can live without the internet. Most of the time, you can't live without what we provide. But that's not the point. The point the point is this. The point is that we can't close a ticket until we contact the customer who opened the ticket and get their approval to close the ticket.
Right.
But I think your customers, so there would be the argument of you're servicing the distribution centers, whereas Verizon is servicing the customer, right? So let's say, your customers directly are affected by a few million, whereas, Verizon is tens to 15s, 20s, hundreds of million, like that. I guess that would be the difference where they're for customer service as a service into each individual person.
So to some respect, that's okay, right? But this wasn't a global ticket. Like this wasn't the general ticket that they opened for this problem. I called and they opened a specific ticket for me. That's the difference. If you're going to take the time to open the ticket, forget you can't talk to customer service.
Right.
I was on hold for over an hour. You have to go through chat. All right, that's fine. You know what? Chat isn't so horrible, but it was I'm just telling you that the experience is worse because here's the other thing. If you post individually on their social media, they will respond, right?
Mhm.
So don't tell me they can't take the time and respond to a ticket that was open.
Interesting. That's because social media maybe is out there and the public can see it.
That's exactly it. Customer service is a private thing. These tickets are a
Yeah.
private thing. Nobody knows about my ticket. But if I go to their social media, which I haven't taken that step yet because it I mean, is it yeah, it's kind of egregious. Am I the only one? Probably. Um
No, I
but
don't think you're the only one. I think a lot
You're
of
not
people.
the only one.
How many people were down? Does anybody know how many customers were actually down with this outage?
no.
No.
No,
No, I didn't
because
check the downtime.
to John's point, we haven't reached on level of honesty yet, right? None. Oh, the other thing I found out that their websites are crap. Verizon's website is one of the worst things to navigate, and their app is worse. Their app you can't get anywhere to do anything.
You would think that an internet service provider company would at least hire like somebody good to do their work if they're not doing it internally.
No, they don't. No, that's not true. Because and Doug will can back me up on this one. The larger the organization, the more they don't want to customize. They rather take a COTS solution,
Yeah,
off the
they
shelf
want
solution,
results.
a complete off the shelf solution that they can configure. Because if they have to
Right.
customize it, that means they have to spend IT resources, and and for whatever stupid reason organizations believe, they believe they are not an IT company.
Oh
As soon as they
God.
move past pen and paper, they become an IT organization, and until they embrace that, we're gonna have pieces of crap out there like this.
Right.
I'll give you a great example. I've worked for two smaller and yet still fairly large financial institutions, both that service pretty much almost the entire state of New York.
Yeah,
And
but John, that's a different. That's like old
well,
guard kind of stuff you're
well,
talking
no,
about
Well,
well,
here.
hold on,
let me
Doug.
finish. They do take the effort to design their own website and their own online stuff. But when it comes to any of the actual service level stuff, like banking or their systems or whatever, they all rely on outside external things. The problem is that when you don't build a system from the ground up, you end up running into a lot of square hole, round peg, or round hole, square, whatever it is, situations where it's like, okay, what you want to do, because that's the services you provided back 40 years ago when the bank opened, versus what the system allows or calls for, are two contradictory things. So you have to literally like jury rig it to work, and 9 times out of 10, either you get something that works but not as efficient as it was before, or you get something that kind of works but it's not ideal. So you're pulling your hair out on a daily basis, basically making problems that would have been solved if you just developed the system in place to go hand in hand with what you want to do. And even most banks, from what I've heard, it's not even that uncommon. A lot of banks will use the same 3 or 4 different banking systems and just shave it off to work how they want. That's probably why a lot of people usually have their problems when they try to get customer service from their bank.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the thing.
Well, it's the thing is it is broke, but the problem is with that is, um, they being organizations who choose this path, um, well, I'm sorry, like the organizations that provide these solutions may know it's broke, but unless they can make a change that they can implement it all of their customers, they won't. If it's not configurable, then they don't want to take the time to make those changes. I mean, we if you want to go all the way down to the technical level, almost every field in an ERP database or an off the shelf database is like 255 to accommodate anything they could come across, and they do that on purpose to make it generic.
Yeah.
And
Except for my system.
right, except right, and then when you try to connect with it, you're like, what do I do? Do I make my field 255, or do I try to figure out what I'm actually going to get? And it's ridiculous, but
Yeah, believe me, we're trying, like my company is going in that route. Right now, we've customized for all of our carriers, which is insane. And, so now we're going the one box solution route with a configuration, like a deep configuration setup where it goes to everything. And then we can add like individual boxed items on, you know, per client based on their needs. And then we can also offer those to other clients as, additions as it moves forward. But our APIs will connect into these other systems, and some of them aren't even configured for 255. We ran into an issue where one of them was configured to 100, and our items dropped into an exception because of that. And I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, thinking like, why is this set for 100 characters, and we have to send over 130 characters worth of information?
It's silly, and you don't think of these things when you don't have to use them, but once you start needing them, then everything becomes open. So
I think it's one of those things of like, honestly, the demand for business increased faster than the growth of the business itself. And that these companies skirted along for 30, 40, 50 years and kind of waited and held off and didn't really do much to kind of get with the times. And now they're so either backed up that they're trying to do it in like the most quickest but not efficient way possible, or they're either like, no, we're not going to overhaul everything. Why should we? Never mind the fact that we're being outpaced left and right, but we're still going to act like you have to basically offer all the same things that these global massive companies provide because they have better services, because they adapted quicker, possibly because of more resources, but just because they also stayed on top of technological trends. But these smaller institutions then either can't keep up or they have to struggle to keep up. And more often than not, eventually what ends up happening is that they just lose enough business that they just merge and it starts all over again.
Well, I think you're right, John. I just think that happened. Most of that happened 10 years ago for like the direct to consumer space. And now it's kind of reaching the top, the more upper echelons of the larger businesses that are less direct to consumer. That's what I'm thinking.
well, I think there's the organizations that are being affected now are organizations that said this could never happen to us. We're
Right.
isolated from that because we don't do this or we don't do that, and the fact is it's going to happen over and over and over again. What I think is very interesting, and there's a trend with organizations, is the failure rate of stuff like this, of these endeavors. It exists. They exist. It's out there, right? Failure rate of IT implementations, usually ERP implementations, it's out there. There are trends. There have been trends, and guess what? It's been almost identical for almost 30 years. 30
Yeah.
years. But yet we organizations, that what they do is they don't either they don't look at that, which is a shame, or they look at it and go, "Oh, well, maybe that's because they didn't define their requirements clearly. That won't happen to us." That won't happen to us mentality causes organizations to continue to repeat. And then they strive so hard to not become a statistic that they wind up dumping more and more money on it. Which, by the way, is a failure unto itself. Or they'll implement something and it isn't the greatest, but they'll say, "We got it. We weren't a statistic." And
here's a great example. I'll give you a really, really, really great example because it's stupid easy. Transfer between banks. If I want to move money from one bank to the other, in some ways, it's not that difficult, or it's not that hard to do so. But it's only recently gotten a lot easier. It used to be, and a lot of places still do, don't allow for direct transfer. In other words, you can't just simply punch in your information and move it around. Most of the banks used to have to use a P2P system, meaning basically you're PayPaling money to yourself because the bank just can't do a straight ACH to the other bank. At least it's too complicated to enable it in the web, and part of it's for security concerns. But the point is that you have to basically go through several hoops just to move money from one bank to the other. Or if it's like, hey, I want to pay my loan, why can't I just punch in my debit card and my credit information online? It's like, well, we can't allow that. Instead, you have to direct transfer money from your bank to the other bank, wait for the money to hit and clear, and then transfer it over to your loan. Like the fact that you can't just go on the web and punch in your basic information and make a payment. I don't know, the way that LIPA used to be able to do, it was just funny because LIPA's not even around. It's and this is a bank.
Yeah, that's true. That goes to organizations not wanting to keep up with times, and what they do is they lay down on the, well, it's for security reasons sword, and you know what, it's no, right. You gotta, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
Then the question for that is, well, for how long? Like,
well, no,
okay,
John,
this is a security concern. Tell me when you're going to fix it.
look, the thing is, like, again, I'm going to go with that's the small banks versus the large banks. Maybe they can't afford the larger scale security that the like your Chases and your Banks of America can afford, whereas you have these small time banks
Actually, that's
that
not
the systems that they
that's not entirely true, Doug. All banks have to follow through the same regulations and follow the same security
regulations.
protocols.
Right, they would have to do all the same security, but to purchase those systems that can follow those, I guess there could be a difference.
There a lot of those larger banks don't have it.
Is that honestly, it's not so much that there's a compromise risk on the website itself, because that's just your web security. The compromise is, what do you do if somebody gets a hold of your bank information? A lot of that typically happens external from the bank. It means that somebody either ran a skimming machine, and so they copied your credit card information or your debit card information,
Right.
or somebody went online to a website that you used and snagged the information from there, because a lot of third-party merchants don't have a lot of good security systems.
Right.
Or somebody just stole a check. Hey, I found a check that you ran, and I basically copied the information off of it. Now I have all your credit card. Well, now I have your check.
John, I think the security that we're referring to is so that people can transfer money easily, like you're talking about, and log in, securely over apps or what have you.
Right, but you know what? We have, I mean, there's methods out there, right? There's two-step authentication, which is huge. It's huge, and actually, it's probably a lot more secure if you use your biometrics on an app on your phone.
Right.
You know.
You also, the other thing you have to realize is that you can't just open up an account with a bank. Typically what you need to do is you need to be enrolled in their systems. So like, unless somebody gets access to your online banking, but again, that's not the fault of the website. That's somebody hacking into your account, either because you didn't use a good password or because you left it open for access for family members or things like that. 9 times out of 10, fraud that happens with the bank is internal fraud. It's only, it's when it comes to direct accounts, debit cards and credit cards are a whole different story.
No, John,
those are constantly out in the public.
John, I think we understand it. That's kind of something that's like almost you can't prevent unless you're doing it yourself. That's like user prevention. What we're referring to is the bank themselves have to purchase certain things, right? And they have to have a certain level due to regulations and requirements from the government. And the smaller banks that haven't gotten on that train yet, that's what I'm saying, is because maybe they're either priced out depending on the solution or they haven't created it yet.
No, there's small enough organizations that any bank can deal with it. It really is you know what, you don't want to change if you don't change the protocol, because you'll be affecting organizations that have staked their career on this. So you don't change, you change small.
Well, I'll give you a simple example, real simple example. My bank, where I work for right now, still uses tickets. they still use deposit tickets and transfer tickets and stuff like that. Meaning, I can't just take a check, scan the check into a system. It puts it to an account that I can then move it around to transfer, do whatever I need to. It has to physically be told, credit it to this account here, as opposed to me just keying something in and it picking it up that way. And the thing is that like, okay, it's maybe a little bit more accurate, but there's still human error if somebody writes something the wrong way, or if the system doesn't encode it the right way, or worse, it still requires multiple steps. Because like me just running the ticket doesn't put the money into the account. I still have to manually go in after doing all that and do the transaction that I'm told to do. I basically have to fund myself doing it. So like you're taking something that really could just be a 1 or 2 step process and adding like 4 or 5 extra steps to it. Because you have to write out the ticket, you have to get the ticket initiated, you have to then get it encoded, then you have to scan the ticket, then deposit ops has to take the ticket that's been scanned and they have to make sure it looks good on their side. And then you have to remember that you scan the tickets, you have to go in, post the transaction, make sure that it's good, document it, because for audit purposes, you have to make sure that you showed what you did, how you did, why. It's basically it because they took so long to modernize, there's now so many steps that you can't just solve one problem by doing one thing. You have 15 problems that you have to solve individually before you can get back to that one problem you're trying to fix.
Yep. As is the problem with everyone who does not modernize.
Uh-oh, why is it saying I do not have internet access? What's going on? No, because I have internet access, because otherwise I wouldn't be on the Zoom call. My Wi-Fi is good. No, I'm on Netgear.
They heard me speaking and they've gone after everyone. Everyone I ever talked to is going to lose their internet access.
No, because I have web connection. My 5G, for whatever reason, was not connected, but my regular non-5G was. And now it works. I just had to basically hop out and hop back. I logged into the VPN. There's no way I would. Whatever.
Oh, wait.
You're jinxed.
Wait, hold on. You say you don't have internet access on your computer?
No, it's fixed. I just had to basically. It must have dipped out overnight, so I just log out and log back into the network.
Your local network or your network at work?
So, anyway.
Hold on. Now I can't get into the network at work, which means that maybe something at the office might be down.
I blame Doug.
Why me?
Why not?
I don't
Here's an example of how my remote access works.
You're the only one. You're the only one who's in darkness.
I'm always in darkness. I live my life by the darkness. All right.
Doug accidentally painted over the ports on his modem, so cut everybody else's internet access out.
Yeah, John, I put paint over your modem at your job. They can't connect you. Literally, it says John, and I painted over it.
I don't know if you guys have the same problem or not, but my remote access, the way that works out is that the computer that I'm trying to log into has to be on. It basically mirrors my computer.
Direct to desktop. Yeah.
Right, it's not working, so maybe they might have lost power at the
Which
main
is
place.
the worst way to do what they're doing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
See that? That's like I have to literally
go virtual desktop. That's the best way to do it. But like they have to have like a setup for that.
No, and they do, like they set it up, but the downside is now it's saying, hey, you can't log online because I don't know, a power switch flipped at the office.
Did you turn your computer off before you left last night, Joe?
I worked from home yesterday and it worked just fine.
You should call IT.
I'm gonna have to call the office. No, I'm gonna have to call the office and tell the office, hey, I need somebody to turn my computer on and turn it off again.
Start a ticket so they can cancel a ticket on you.
I can't even start a ticket. I can't start a ticket on. I can't start a ticket if I can't get into the website.
Ask them if they unplug John's port.
Use the old technology. Call them on the phone.
I'm going to, but they're not going to be there for at least another half hour.
Send them an email.
Send them an email.
Wait. Send them mail in the mail. Have Dave drop it off.
Yeah, there you go. Send it.
Well, it's 7:00. This has been Tech Talk. Thank you so much for joining us today as we discuss the myad of IT issues. Join us on Monday. We're going to talk about Betamax, the failed proper format that should have caught on, and we'll also talk about HD DVD.
Listen, thank you for listening to four guys griping about their ISP providers and a nice long talk about our modern day banking system.
Hey, I put in all the advertisement. I always advertise. We this is our talk show about games or just about anything else.
All right. So with that, Dave, take us home.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us on Over Coffee.
Shout out.
What's that?
Shout outs. We have shout outs still.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hurry up because I got to go. I actually have to leave.
We have Uplink. Well, we have Uplink,